we still haven't really touched on the reason why you got caught up. So we gotta, even though there's a lot we haven't talked about yet, we gotta just get to it. We gotta get to the doom da da doom da da doom da da doom da da doom da. He was like, all right, heartbeat, like play that funky beat or whatever. Like he was like that wasn't the way my heart sounded. Oh, okay, this is how my heart sounds.
Do you know when that shit is animated, it's gonna go up,
dude? I'm so hyped for the doom da da. Like
it's about to go up. So anyway, so Joy Boy has been talked about for a very long time, especially post time skip. We hear about it a couple times, and even in the Goldie Roger flashback that we get, Odin's flashback, when he reads one of the poneglyphs, it says something about Joy Boy on it.
Yep.
And there's this whole thing about the voice of all things. Roger has this weird ability. Big Mom alludes to it too.
Roger and Odin.
Yeah, Odin has it. Odin can blatantly read poneglyphs, though, right?
Yeah, but he can read poneglyphs. If I remember correctly, it's because they're written in a Wano language.
Yes, so they needed. It's cool how it works. Like Roger needed Odin to read poneglyphs, and Big Mom was under the impression, which we don't know if she was correct or not, but she said he used that weird ability he has to hear the voice of all things, and she thought that he was reading them himself. We now know that Odin was the one who blatantly deciphered them for Roger.
Yeah.
Like Roger was not reading poneglyphs. As far as what the manga showed us,
yeah.
Roger was not blatantly going around just reading poneglyphs with some voice. But he did not hear.
But he was able to talk to sea kings and shit.
Yes, so he does still. The voice of all things is not like a myth. Like that is real. It's been confirmed that's real. Everyone who pretty much knows him knows that he has this ability. We don't fully understand it yet, but the other person who seems to have it is blatantly Luffy.
Luffy, and just like Roger and Odin, Luffy and Odin's son, Momonosuke.
He blatantly has it too, yes. Like 100% Momonosuke has it. He keeps on saying how he was hearing the island Zou when it was approaching, right? Like he was hearing, he's like, what the fuck? Like, what is that? And then he was communicating with it. It's like, it's telling me something, but I'm not sure if I'm understanding it correctly. And you come to find out. When Zou showed up, he was like, I can feel him. He's close again. It's been 800 years since that crime, Joy Boy. And then they show Luffy smiling, and then like his face is becoming what looks like, I guess, like melted rubber, kind of.
Yeah.
The way that one chapter ends, but and then it says Joy Boy is back. Like really big on the panel by Oda. Like Joy Boy is back. And that was huge for a lot of reasons. It has been speculated that Luffy was Joy Boy because at this point, I'm going to be honest, everything has been speculated. So, like, someone had already thought of, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
People think that Luffy's Gold Roger. People think Luffy's Joy Boy. People think Luffy, reincarnation of Roger. Like, they think there's so many, and these things could be true, right? Like, we don't know. Like,
One Piece is so long. Right, it gives you so much time to make theories.
Yes. So there's so many theories on the internet. One of them was that Luffy is Joy Boy. It turns out that is actually true. Like, not literally Joy Boy, but he has the exact same devil fruit. So they do this really cool panel in the chapter after you first see Luffy is Joy Boy type of thing. The world government. Starts with the world government. And they're talking about... actually, let me back up a little bit more.
Yeah.
Jinbei is fighting against Who's Who.
Oh, baby. First son of the sea.
This is so good. Jinbei also in this arc is OP as fuck. Jesus Christ, dude. Jinbei is OP as fuck in this ark.
I love his fight with Who's Who, by the way. I love the part where like Who's Who's just being racist and Jinbei's like, that's so out of style. Like he's like Jinbei's just like, relax.
He was blatantly being racist, which I wasn't ready for because I kind of liked Who's Who. I'm not gonna lie. Then he started being ridiculous, and I was like, but okay, so he's fighting Who's Who, and he brings up how a long time ago he was fucked over by the fruit that he was the fruit that he was guarding got stolen, and he got pretty much like imprisoned for it or like excommunicated for it. It was a whole big thing. It ruined his life essentially. And that fruit was the Goma Goa no Mai. That's a chapter that happens a while before.
It happens like a year ago, dog. Like in real time. I read that. I read that not in 2022. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you that much. Like,
yes,
I definitely read it somewhere in like mid to early 2021. I feel like.
Yes. So it's been a long time since Who's made that random comment about I was guarding the Gomu Gomu no Mai, which I immediately messaged you like instantly. I was like, what the fuck? Why was the Gomu Gomu no, like the rubber fruit was being guarded by the world government and it was stolen? Like immediately that, and then I started thinking like, okay, well Shanks is the one who gave it to Luffy, right? Like he's the one who had it. So Shanks is the one who had the fruit. Like, how did Shanks? We still don't know, but like, how did Shanks end up with the fruit? What's the backstory on that? So that left a question in my mind. But I was like, of course, that means that fruit is special. Like, I don't know how special. I didn't know how special. I didn't know the depths of it. But then after Luffy gets hit by Kaido with Ragnarok, and he's basically dead. Like, literally, everyone says, I can't hear Luffy's voice. Momonosuke says, I can't hear Luffy's voice anymore. And you know, Momonosuke has that voice of all things going on as well. Other people talk about they don't feel Luffy's like hockey anymore. His energy is gone completely. So Luffy, for all intents and purposes, died. Like as quick as it might have been, everyone essentially is confirming like Luffy is dead. And when the next chapter, when it starts with the world government, and they're talking at what's that place called, Mary Joa or whatever?
Yeah, it's like Mary. I don't know how to pronounce.
I don't know how to say it either. I just say Mary Joa because it sounds.
Some people say like Mary Joe's, but
it might be Mary Joe's. Yeah, I'll say Mary Joa. I just think it sounds
Mary
cool.
Jose.
Yeah. So they're at Mary Joa, and they're talking those fucking. I don't even know what are those people called.
The five Elder Stars.
The old men with the long beards and the cool ass. They look so cool.
They are the five. I will never, because they've done pretty much nothing yet in the series.
Yes,
but
literally nothing.
They got introduced like 800 chapters ago, and I will never forget their fucking moniker. They're called the Five Elder Stars, and I was like, these guys are going to be fucked up. I don't know when they're going to be fucked up. They're going to be fucked up.
The first chapter when they're introduced, like, and Kuma and everything with the Bible. It's so good. So they're talking about the Gomu Gomu no Mai, and they're saying it's the only fruit that's evaded us for the last 800 years.
Yeah, they also said like we lied, we changed the name of it. So you find out like, okay, it's not called the Gomu Gomu no Mi, and then they say, so this is what's cool is that they say that this fruit has evaded us almost as if it has a will of its own for 800 years.
Yes, they say it's not. They say Mythic Zoans is not uncharacteristic. Okay, they first say that Zoans are known to have their own will. They say Zoans are just known to have their own will, and it's not surprising that a Mythic Zone would be able to like literally impart its will onto the user, but also literally evade us.
Yeah, and so what's interesting about that is when Who's Who came into when Who's Who got the Gomu no Mi, this was the first time the government had their hands on it, and then he ends up losing it, and that's why he ends up going to prison, because they've never been able to fully secure it, whereas Who's Who was supposed to be delivering it to the government, and then he ends up losing it, and etc.
Yeah, and so they're talking about it, and then they just reveal, like, it's a Mythic Zone fruit, and it's, so the way they do it, it's called the human fruit in reality. And so same as Chopper's, which at first I was like, what? But then you find out, just like Sengoku's, it has kind of like a code.
Because Sengoku also has the human fruit.
He does. Sengoku has it. Chopper has it, I think. There's a couple people there's actually a couple people in One Piece who have a human fruit, but they all have like a code name to them too.
Yeah.
So Sengoku's is Buddha, I think.
Yep. Yeah. And that's the thing with zones in general. They have models, right?
Yes.
So for example, in Drum Island, there's a sorry.
Kenny's a little sick.
Yeah. There's Dalton. He has the ox fruit model bison. And then there's somebody else that has like the ox fruit, and it's a different model. I forget what.
And you notice this throughout the entire arc. I think Oda he really wanted to drop that home too, because I remember I said I didn't know the depths of how many different zones there would be. Yeah. But there's so many dinosaurs, right? And every time they show a dinosaur zone, they say model Tyrannosaurus, model Pterodactyl, model Spinosaurus. So you get, it's like nothing comes without a bit of a buildup. Like throughout the entire arc, you keep on seeing model this, model that, model this, model that. And it kind of becomes a little redundant afterwards. Like, I get it. This is a dinosaur. I can tell it's a dinosaur. I know it's a dinosaur. But it all builds up to when you see Sun God Nika as the model. It's like, oh shit. Oh shit. The model name Sun God Nika. I was like, oh, because I'm like, human fruit. Don't most people have the human fruit? But it's like it's not quite the same.
Yep. And this draws very serious connections all the way back to Skypiea. And there's basically, Oda has said multiple times that Skypiea is one of his favorite arcs, and that Skypiea, and like so many people just hate on Skypiea. Whatever. I think they're crazy. I love Skypiea, but so many people hate on Skypiea, and Oda has said so many times that Skypiea is very important, and it's one of his favorite arcs, and one of his favorite scenes ever is that something he drew in Skypiea, and yeah. So I think, oh, man,
it's too good. It's insane. Okay, the world government also does say that they start talking about the actual capabilities of this fruit. And this is where it gets ridiculous. This is where it gets ridiculous, because it's literally one thing for ridiculous. Like, oh, us to have gotten Luffy's Devil Fruit wrong for 1,042 chapters, right? Like, there's 1,042 chapters where we were all under the impression that was the Gomu Gomu no Mi, and that was just what it was. And then 1043 happens. Come to find out, actually, I guess 1044 is when the world government has this conversation about it being the Sun God Nika fruit, human, and it's a mythic zone, not a paramecia. So many things. Kaido was questioning as he was fighting. He was like, those characteristics are not that. They say that the ability, yes, it does make the user's body rubber-like, but it also gives them the ability to do whatever they want, and the only limitation is their own imagination. And I'm like, what the actual fuck does that mean? Like, you can't go from rubber fruit to the ability of the fruit in reality is to do anything, and the only limit is your imagination.
They say,
only limit.
On panel, they say it might be, or no, they say it is the most ridiculous.
Hey guys, if you like this clip, we have full video versions of our podcast episodes available on the IMNerd Patreon, as well as exclusive content.
If you'd like to listen to our full podcast episodes or find us on any other social media platforms, you can do so by clicking the link tree below.